issue, we think from the numbers we got, it's almost like it's Nyeri. But we cannot firm it up because numbers were not presented in Kiambu, and you know Kiambu is a bigger county, so we cannot really we didn't firm up the numbers in Kiambu, and it wasn't really coming out in Kiambu as a major issue, but it was until we were in Nyeri and Kirinyaga a little bit, Nyandarua a little bit, and then Nyeri, and then it's repeated here. So that's why I told you scientifically it would be important to get the Crime Research Center to do for us a thorough analysis as to the causes, but the numbers are alarming. Compared to other counties, I think that their numbers is a bit alarming. I have said, and I think I'll repeat this to this morning, that we do not condone any kind of violence by anybody, and we request political leaders to cooperate with police officers in all the investigations related to violence. We want everybody to carry out their political activities in a peaceful environment, and we don't want violence. I know that when I said 3 days ago that we were requesting members of political party that wanted to hold a political activity yesterday, when I said that they need to notify the police, I heard one of their leaders, former senator, saying that they have no obligation to notify the police and that they don't need the police to hold a meeting. So unfortunately, as a result of the absence of that notification yesterday, the police were not aware about what was going to happen, which route, what place. I wish they had heeded to my advice. The reason why the law says you notify the police is not because it's not that the police so that the police can give you the right to hold meetings. No, it's just for the police to provide security and to give right security advice to the citizens of Kenya. Had we sat down and cooperated with the police officers, I don't think the situation would have happened yesterday in the manner in which it did, because the police would have taken prior notice of what's happening, provided clear the routes, and provide also advice. In the National Police Service, we don't advise only people who are in government. We advise also every citizen, including those in opposition, on the best thing to do security-wise as they carry out their security activities. I insist, for avoidance of doubt, that anybody who wants to have a public event, it is important to notify the police and to cooperate with the police officers. We do not want situations where people refuse to notify the police, insist on having political activities notwithstanding police advice, and then go ahead to blame the same police. Yet prior to that, they were saying they don't need the police. So we need each other, and everybody needs the police officers in terms of dealing with these issues. Otherwise, those events will be investigated. Anybody will be found culpable, regardless of their political standing, will be held accountable. Anybody who organized for people to be stoned, journalists who were hurt, we will take a very stern action against any person who is involved. Two other questions. You wanted to ask a question? Okay.
Waziri?
Yes. Yeah.
My name is Wanena Kere from MATIANG'I.
Okay.
Yes, in terms of the fight against illicit bill, we have cases whereby police have arrested those engaged in the business, they are taken to the courts and they are released and they go back to the business. Maybe what are you going to do?
Well, we have sometimes we actually, from where we are, we have no control of what the courts are going to do. We just will continue arresting and taking to court. If the court releases people, we will take them again, release, we will arrest in another and take them again. What we want to do, there is a court users forum that is in every county. We encourage our county commissioner and the security team to have meetings with these judges and magistrates whom they work together to come to an understanding on how best this issue is going to be dealt with. Of course, you understand also the magistrates in some situations, because if the cells are full and you are arresting people over, one glass of changa, 2 glasses of changa, there is only so many people you can arrest. So some of them will be fined. rightfully so. But the most notorious ones, especially the traders who are actually trading in large volumes, and the brewers and the manufacturers of this, or the mixers, they call them mixologists. All these people, perhaps the ones who bear the greatest responsibility should carry the greater burden. And that is why there is always need to be continuous conversation with the judiciary to make sure that these people are fined heavily, given very stringent bail terms to ensure that they don't continue committing these offenses and get away with it. For example, someone is fined 1 million for either not worth 100 million. That person just get out there. Maybe his profit is about 20 million. If they pay 1 million, 19 million is still there for him to compromise the system. And so we need to work together with the judiciary to sort out this issue. Yes.
Johnson from Rovinda Services. Utafanya na Kiswahili. Kuna machief wawili na manaibu walifutwa kazi wakati kulikuwa na pombe pande wa magharibi. Washukiwa walikamatwa ambao expert ilikuwa kwa police station huko pande hiyo. Hatima ya machief namna gani sasa?
Kwa mambo ya chief yoyote ama polisi yoyote ambaye anaadhibiwa kwa sababu ya mapambano na mambo ya pombe, hiyo process ama njia ya kuadhibu hawa lazima ifuate sheria. Na kwa mtu yoyote ambaye anapatikana kwamba alikuwa na ukosefu wa nidhamu, anapitishwa kupitia njia ya inayohitajika kikatiba, na akipatikana na hatia anavutwa kazi, asipopatikana na hatia anarudishwa kazi yake. Kwa hivyo kwa machifu wawili ambao umeuliza, nitashughulikia maswali haya katika jukwaa la usalama baadaye, na naamini ya kwamba mtakuwa pale ndio muweze mkafuatilia mambo hayo, kwa sababu machifu wenyewe wako pale na tuko tayari kujibu maswali ambayo wanaweza kutuuliza leo katika jukwaa la usalama. Swali la mwisho kama liko. Yes, mine.
Waziri, my name is Professor Maina from KBC, and mine is still on yesterday's occurrences on Mombasa, Nairobi. And one is the issue of journalists. We saw some of them, they were injured, the equipment was stolen, their cars were vandalized. How do journalists operate in such occurrences or in such situations? Because they must cover all these kinds of whatever is happening, whether it's politics or whatever it is. How do you assure their security while they go about their daily activity? And two, there's a general concern that when there's a political rally or political event, people along, even people who are not even attending those particular rallies, they get hurt. We saw some of them getting robbed on the highway, pedestrians, and even the motorists. How do people who are not even associated with these kinds of politics get, how can you assure their safety? How do they get along with their businesses without, getting all these injuries and losses?
It points to this situation we witnessed yesterday. Points to what I said earlier, that misuse of young people, or sometimes hiring goons to just come and cause terror, is an issue of great concern to us in the security sector. And so, as I said, investigations must be done to find out who exactly organized them and for what purpose. Again, sometimes because of we don't understand the magnitude of or we are not informed about the plans of the political actors, sometimes the police are just on standby to see whether there is any problem. Like yesterday, police were generally on standby because there was no clear notification to them about what event was going to happen and what routes. I was, for example, very saddened that political activists were going to play games at our airport. I mean, you could see people want to invade inside the airport, and that is a very serious issue. The airport is a protected area. It's not a place to play the kind of politics that we saw. And you saw, people entering inside the airport just with a lot of razzmatazz for absolutely nothing, for pure zero political value, zero economic value, zero PR. Whatever it was being done, it was just useless. And for it to be done inside the airport, it's just totally unacceptable. And that's why we were saying, if the team was intended to do good for our country, they would have worked with the police. They would say, we are welcoming our visitor. Can you give us a designated area we want to welcome? Can our vehicles be parked in a particular manner? Can we be escorted to the place where we want to have a rally? And then everything would have been fine. But this idea of ignoring the importance of security sector in terms of such events is totally unacceptable. And I remember I told you 2 days ago that any person who wants to have their political activities, we will facilitate once notification is given, and we will deploy the necessary a good number of the police officers to provide protection. Unfortunately, innocent people are caught up in these situations. So it is regrettable that the journalists were in that situation. And I think going forward, we just need proper deployment of police officers so that they can also protect not just journalists but members of the public. And maybe this is something we can work with the Association for the Journalists and to see what will happen during such events. How shall the local police commander dealing with those issues, what we can tell them to secure the journalists. There must be closer relationship between the media and the police office and the government, because our duty is to facilitate access to proper information by the public and be done in a responsible manner. So, as I said last night during our interview, it's regrettable, and we need to find better ways of working together, because I saw some of the journalists who were injured. It was totally unnecessary. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.